welcome to Atumpan Edutainment.
My name is Corey.
I'm Laquita Marie.
And together we're teaching artists and co-founders of Atumpan Edutainment, where we educate and entertain audiences with world music, folklore, and dance. Today we're here as partners with the Virginia Stage Company's Public Works Virginia program. And today we're going to talk about heroes and sidekicks and telling the complete story. You know, all heroes have a sidekick. Batman had Robin. The Lone Ranger had Tonto. Corey has Laquita. So all heroes have to have a sidekick, right?
Wait a minute. So you said Corey has Laquita. So does that mean I'm the sidekick?
Well, you said that and I didn't, but I agree totally with what you're saying. Yes, you are. No, I'm just kidding. No. we're very much co-partners in everything that we do. We're co-heroes.
There's even a boss, and yeah. So basically what you're saying is that
every story has characters, and sometimes we tend to focus a lot more on creating heroes and sidekicks and making the sidekicks the footnotes to the story. And that means they don't get their actual story told. A good example is when we tell fractured fairy tales, we hear about Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And you say we always hear about the story from the standpoint of Goldilocks, right?
Well, absolutely. Now, I'm a fan of Goldilocks. She's one of my favorite characters. However, Goldilocks was like a thief. She was like a breaker. Seriously, people, she was breaking and entering.
Trespassing, unlawful entry.
Yeah, you know, just all of those things. And then she was wrecking shop along the way. So we hear about her as a main character, and we hear about the bears like as a footnote, you know, as if, oh my goodness.
We just came home and found this little girl in our house and she ran away, and that was all there was to the story.
Yeah, and depending on which story you heard the ones with the more tragic ending of Goldilocks where it just wasn't as favorable for her in the end. I didn't hear that version. Growing up, I would always hear the version of, you know, Goldilocks either, number one, running away, you know, just kind of out of embarrassment and kind of being let off the hook. And then the other version was Goldilocks like helping to fix the problem, which I thought was a more fair option, but
still makes her a hero at the end of the day.
It does.
And not taking into consideration the Three Bears point of view. One of my favorite fairy tales has always been the Three Little Pigs, and of course we have our own version called Oinkia, the Three Little Pigs remix.
It's a good one.
And if you stick with this channel, then you'll get to see that at some point later on. But it tells the story of the three pigs and how they brought hip hop to fairy tale land. But we also try to present a fair version of it, where we explain that the big bad wolf is not just a big old bully like he's presented in other stories. This story, we actually tell a fair story where we explain why the big bad wolf is the way he is. So it's important that when you're telling stories and creating stories, especially educational stories, that you try to present a balanced point of view from everybody's standpoint, so that there's no heroes, no sidekick. It's just a story that teaches facts or some lesson about a group of people as a whole and their positive impact on the world around them.
That's it. So for today's story, the main things that we want you to really pay attention to are the story, like the main character of the story.
What is the story?
Oh, well, today's story is all about Sundiata Keita, the first emperor of Mali, or the first documented emperor of Mali, according to our history books that we have today. So Sundiata Keita, he was the lion child of Mali. You know, he had a rough life growing up. He was born. He was set to be king. He was on that path, but then he couldn't walk. He had physical limitations. And in the end, of course, this is a hero's tale, so he becomes the hero. But in this particular story, we want you to check for any footnotes. Are there any other groups that are underrepresented? Are there any other groups that are kind of in the story as, like, you know, they're key players but not? Sort of like how the Three Bears are key players in their story. The story starts out with them, you know, Mama Bear waking the family up, creating a nutritional breakfast, realizing that she doesn't want to harm her family with this hot, scalding hot breakfast. So let's, in the best interest of the family, let's head on out for a walk. And then
Goldilocks takes over the story from there, and you don't hear about the Three Bears again until you see how they become basically victims of Goldilocks breaking and entering.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't even hear about the calorie count in the porridge. You know, I'm a big one.
Only you gonna take a fairy tale and make this about the fact that I like to eat junk food and drink sodas and stuff like that. But that's besides the point.
I didn't say that.
That's where you were going.
Okay. So either way, guys, whether you're into junk food, good food, whatever, the point that we're trying to make is we really want you to look for heroes in this story and footnotes. Are there any footnotes? Are there just main characters? What are there? You know, what's the story all about? The idea is that when you're telling a story, you don't want to create other characters as footnotes for the sake of making one character more important or more relevant.
And it's especially true when you're teaching, telling stories about historical figures, because you don't want to overemphasize one culture over the other. A lot of times we get one-sided cultural stories, but in this story you're going to see that there's no particular culture that gets overrepresented. It just tells the story of a hero, a king, the first emperor of Mali, Sundiata Keita. The griots, or the jollies of West Africa, are people who tell stories. They also sing the praises of royalty to teach people their history and their culture. The griots often told hero tales, or tales about true or mythical heroes of their people. I'm going to tell you a story that's about a 13th century king from the first empire of Mali named Sundiata Keita, also called the Lion Child of Mali. We'll talk about the Niger River. We'll talk about the city of Timbuktu and the salt and gold trade from the Sahara and the Niger River Valley gold mines. So I will ask you a question in the Ewe culture of Ghana and Togo, West Africa, to say, are you listening?
Oh, so what's that question?
The question is Ago. Your answer is Ame, to say, yes, you have my attention. So Ago.
Ame.
Ago.
Ame.
Ago.
Ame.
Long ago in West Africa, there was a great hippopotamus that ruled one of West Africa's mightiest rivers because it had a lion that roared inside its heart. The hippopotamus was Mali. The river that it ruled was the Niger River. And the lion that roared in his heart was not a lion at all. It was a man named Sundiata Keita, the Lion Child, and the first emperor of Mali. History teaches us that there was once a Mandinka village called Mali in the Niger River Valley that was led by a great hunter named Nare. Nare had a son who the wise people told him, your son will lead us into a great and proud future. Give him the name Sundiata, Sogolon's lion, and he will take us into new heights as a kingdom. Days passed and soon Sundiata Keita was born. But when he was born, according to legend, he could not walk until he was 17 years old. During this time, he grew stronger, but so did his brother Dankaran, who took over the kingdom of Mali after the people of Mali declared, we do not want Sundiata Keita as our next leader. If he is unable to stand up for himself, how will he be able to stand up for the kingdom of Mali? We will take Dankaran, his older brother, to be our next chief. And with that, Sundiata Keita and his mother were forced out of Mali to live on the kindness of other kings. While Sundiata was away, he grew stronger and stronger until he was finally able to walk and become one of the greatest warriors of his people. But while Sundiata Keita was away from Mali, an evil wizard named Sumanguru captured control of West Africa and enslaved the people of Mali. When this news reached the ear of Sundiata Keita, the warrior gathered a great army of West Africans to do battle with the evil wizard. But the night before his battle, an owl came to him in his dream and said, Sundiata, you will not be able to defeat Sumanguru, the evil wizard, because he has strong magic to protect himself. When you awake, you will find the claws of the rooster tied to an arrow. Shoot it at Sumanguru in battle. And when it touches him, the magic arrow will take all of his magic, and you will be able to defeat him like any other man. According to legend, Sundiata Keita chased after Sumanguru the wizard on the battlefield. But the evil wizard would poof, disappear from one spot and reappear somewhere else. Legend says that Sundiata took his magic arrow, and with one shot he fired it at Sumanguru, and the arrow flew through the air. But Sumanguru the wizard breathed his magic onto the arrow, causing it to freeze in flight. Sumanguru took the arrow and broke it in his hand. Ha ha! You thought that you could defeat me, Sumanguru, the most powerful so-so wizard that has ever lived. Sundiata Keita, you are... Ah! And when Sumanguru looked into his hands, he realized he had touched the claws of the rooster. Sumanguru lost his magic, and all he could do was ride on his horse to get away from Sundiata Keita. But Sundiata Keita chased close behind him. According to the legend, Sumanguru jumped off of his horse and used the little magic he had to poof, turn himself into a rock. And there the people of Mali say, in the hills of Mali, there is still a rock that is Sumanguru the wizard that is hiding from Sundiata Keita, the lion child. Ago?
Ame.
Ago?
Ame.
Ago?
Ame.
History teaches us that Sundiata Keita, in the mid-1200s, used his powerful Mandinka-led army to capture control of a very important river called the Niagara River.
No, the Niger River.
He used his powerful Mandinka army to capture control of the Nile River.
That's in East Africa. The Niger River. In West Africa, in Mali.
The Niger River. Sundiata Keita's army captured control of the Niger River Valley and took control of the Niger River, which was an important trade route to reach the important marketplace city of Timbuktu.
Timbuktu.
From trade route to the city of Timbuktu. The marketplace where people would come from around the world to trade, because Mali was rich in salt from the Sahara and gold from the Niger River Valley.
You got it right. Salt and gold.
It was the salt and gold trade in the city of Timbuktu along the Niger River in the kingdom of Mali that helped that tiny village grow to be one of the most famous kingdoms in all of West African history. And all that became so because the great hippopotamus that had a lion inside his heart.
Oh, Mali does mean hippopotamus.
Yes, Mali, the great hippopotamus of the Niger River, became the greatest kingdom in history thanks to the lion inside his heart. A lion that we know as Emperor Sundiata Keita, the lion child of Mali. And that was the end of that. Welcome back, everybody, and we thank you for joining us on the story adventure. And we hope you enjoyed the story of the epic of Sundiata Keita, the lion child and the first emperor of Mali. There are lots of different things you can take away from that story that talks about the culture, the geography, and the economy of the people of Mali in that time between 1235 and 1255. So, for example, you know that Sundiata Keita was an emperor, and he collected a great group of people from West Africa to free them from Sumanguru the wizard, and he actually led his Malinke or Mandinka army to victory, and that victory allowed them to take control of the trade route, which was the Niger River. And the
not the Nile River.
Not the Niagara.
In a lot of programs, right, we have people, or children even, sometimes adults, whenever we say the Niger River, we're there for educational purposes, and they automatically assume the Nile, which is in East Africa, in Egypt, and you know, it runs right down into Ethiopia, and it runs north instead of south. But that's a whole nother educational point.
Right.
We did say the Niger River. It's in Mali even to today.
Right. And the Niger River trade route was important because it wasn't, the people didn't sail them down the Niger River trading things, but it was a route that was taken by tradesmen as they went to the city of Timbuktu, which was the marketplace city of Mali, West Africa, the crossroads of the Sahara, And speaking of the Sahara, we learn from the story that salt was an important commodity or marketable item in Mali because they were rich in salt from the Sahara. And by the way, don't say Sahara Desert because you're saying desert.
Oh, because Sahara means
right,
desert.
Sahara means desert. Also, another commodity or a good that you can sell or trade was gold that came from the Niger River Valley gold fields. So there was a lot of things that you can learn about from the story of Sundiata Keita that taught about the history, the culture, and the economy of the people of Mali, West Africa. And speaking of Mali, Mali is still there today. Mali is one of the largest countries in West Africa.
You can simply go to your map because it's there on the continent right now. The country of Mali, it's still a present day country. It was a powerful kingdom, and so that's part of why we teach that in our educational programs. Just a historical reference. It's a historical story for important reasons. It was a strong enough kingdom that it still stands today.
And the Niger River is still there. The city of Timbuktu is still there. And speaking of Timbuktu, Timbuktu wasn't just a place to come trade goods. In the 1200s and in the early 1300s, it became a place for cultural exchange and learning science, mathematics, and music and religion, thanks to Sundiata Keita's great nephew named Mansa Kankan Musa. Mansa Musa used the gold of Mali to travel across the continent of Africa to the Middle East, and he brought back lots of information and scholars to teach in Timbuktu. And he gave away so much gold on that trip with Marina, he actually caused 10 years of inflation in Cairo, Egypt. So that's a lot of gold that left Mali and was given away as gifts. So, that means there was a great legacy that was left behind.
Absolutely. So what you're basically saying is that whenever we listen to stories, we want to listen for the factual information. We want to listen for all of those key learning points. Like you talked about commodities such as salt and gold. One lesson that we can take away is that those are still commodities today. I use salt on a regular basis. It's pretty much, it's a really important factor for a lot of us, for a lot of different reasons, whether it be the iodine that's in the salt, that's included in a lot of the salt nowadays, whether it be the sea salt, so there's different reasons why we use salt. And then of course a commodity that you mentioned was gold. That is still a highly prized commodity. So I think it's really important for us to look at stories from old and find ways that they are relevant to us today, what we can learn from them, what we can keep from them, some of those important things that are just really learning tools. And speaking of legacy, whenever we listen to a story, we should always listen for those key learning points. And one thing when you say legacy that I learned from that story is that as adults, once you become an adult, you feel that sense of responsibility and you realize it is your job to leave a legacy for those coming after you, so that no matter what, there's something else that you are leaving for people behind you, whether it's knowledge, whether it's property, whether it's land, whether it's finances, whether it is nutritional information.
Why do you always look at me when it comes to nutritional information as if I'm the only one that likes to eat Flamin' Hot Cheetos, drink other sodas that I shouldn't be drinking? Because part of the time when I turn my back, that salty goldness that's called Cheetos is gone, or if I turn my head too long, the Pepsi is gone. So why is it that you're always looking at me with the nutritional stuff?
I'm just saying, long story short is that you should definitely listen to stories from the perspective of, okay, let's listen to it from the factual point, and are there any footnotes? If you are the one telling the story, try to be sure that you are not telling a story with other characters or cultures as footnotes. Just highlight the main character of the story. Bring out the best in that story so that way people remember the information in the best light.
Just remember, everybody, think of our world as a tapestry. And each culture adds a piece of fabric to that tapestry that makes it the beautiful work of art that it is. And when you think of it that way, you'll never create footnotes out of other cultures as you tell the stories, whatever.